Welcome to the American Med Spa Association podcast, Medical Spa Insider. This week, AmSpa founder Alex Thiersch is speaking with Lori Werner, founder and chief marketing whiz at Medical Marketing Whiz.
Refresh your body, mind, and career journey at the Women in Aesthetics Leadership Conference being held October 3rd through the 5th at California's beautiful Terranea Resort. Walk is more than just another convention. It's an immersive retreat that combines education and networking with rejuvenation. For women aesthetic professionals who dedicate their time to the health and happiness of others, this is the opportunity to get away and focus on your own wellness. Reconnect to your passions and return with bold new inspiration for your business. Walk celebrates the med spa industry's opportunities for female empowerment and entrepreneurship, including the ceremony for the 2025 Distinguished Women Awards. Find out more and register at experiencewalk.com. That's experiencewalc.com. And as a Medical Spa Insider listener, you can receive 10% off your registration if you use the promo code WALC10. That's WALC10.
Promo code valid for inclusive registration until September 11, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or standard registration until October 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Promo code only applies to the primary registrant and cannot be combined with any additional offers.
Welcome, everybody. This is Alex Thiersch. Welcome to Medical Spa Insider, the podcast for the American Med Spa Association, AmSpa. And today on the AmSpa hotline, we have Lori Werner, who I'm very excited to talk to. She is the founder and chief marketing whiz at Medical Marketing Whiz, which is a women-led marketing agency that specializes in private practice and concierge medical and aesthetic clinics, which I'm super excited to talk to you, Lori, for a variety of reasons. But I want to first get started. First of all, thank you for coming on the program. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I love this stuff. We were chatting before. This is fun. I really am excited about the topic today.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to get into, I didn't know there was a word for it, but you called it, what was it? Answer engine optimization. Is that what it was?
You got it. Answer engine optimization. So it's just sort of a fancy way of saying, how do you get ChatGPT and all of these AI sort of tools to recommend your med spa? Because it's,
Gotcha.
I mean, I feel like our whole world has changed in the last 6 months or 12 months. And, this has just come out of nowhere. And like, we just want to make sure we get ahead. So I thought that would be kind of a fun topic to touch on a little bit in our conversation today. So yeah, we'll talk about some tactics for, moving the needle in that direction.
It is. It's like every month, I feel like it just we get deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole into the matrix. And next thing you know, they're going to be, we're going to be controlled by robots and cyborgs. But so before we get into that, because I think that is a super important topic, I would just love to know a little bit about how you got into aesthetics, because you have a medical background. I want to say it was medical sales and medical marketing. And then you founded Medical Marketing Whiz in 2016, I want to say, from what I know. And you're now kind of did you start in aesthetics? Was that your original goal when you started your marketing company, or did you kind of gravitate there for other reasons?
Yeah, so great question. And it is kind of a unusual story on how I got here. So yes, I was in medical device sales for about 15 years. I worked for Hologic. So Hologic is a huge women's health company. They're in the mammography and also do some stuff with like pap smears. And I was in the surgical division. So I was in the operating room with gynecologists 5-6 days a week.
Yep.
And in that job, when you're in sales, you always have this quota. And I'm a very competitive person, and I wanted to win the award trip every year. So I needed to get creative on how I was going to go about doing that. And a lot of it is you're kind of waiting for the doctor to talk to their patients about these procedures. Well, I quickly learned that, doctors aren't salespeople. Doctors pretty much just kind of tell the patient all their options, and then the patient kind of picks. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't really rely on that. So I had the idea of starting to help my doctors just do marketing. And at the time, it was really mostly heavy Facebook. So I started posting on my doctor's Facebook pages about, I sold an ablation device for heavy periods. So we would be talking about all this fun women's health stuff. And basically I won the trip every single year, and people couldn't figure out how I was doing it, but I had to figure out how to market these procedures. I couldn't wait for the doctors to do it. And so it literally was one of my gynecology doctors that one day was like, why do you work for this company? Like, you should just help us do this. And so
it's for the trips.
Right. Yeah. Well, a little of that carrot didn't hurt at all, for sure. But, so I ended up leaving Hologic, started Medical Marketing Whiz. And so when I started, it was women's health focused. Mm-hmm. And pretty much all of these GYNs, they started doing vaginal rejuvenation, and they were buying the Mona Lisa laser and FemTouch and FemiLift and Votiva and all of these devices. And they knew that I knew the women's health space really well. Right. And so, and they had never marketed a cash service before. And so we just got really good at that. And we started getting added to all of the deals when these reps would sell a laser, and they'd have their Medical Marketing Whiz package. And so I thought, well, shoot, I got to scale this company. I got to get some help. So I ended up bringing in, I've got a team of 16 people now. It's all pretty much all women. We have a couple guys on our team that put up with us women all day long. But for the most part, because I built a women's team because our target patient was primarily women. Mm-hmm. And I don't really feel like, it'd be like me. I say, like, if you asked me to market NFL football, I could probably figure out how to do it. Would I really be good at it? Probably not, because I don't really care about NFL football.
You probably would. Because you figure it out.
Maybe I would. But, so I wanted the people that were crafting the campaigns to be the patient, to be the person that was thinking about these sort of things. And so I think over the last 10 years, that mix of, the gynecologist opening a med spa and the med spa doing hormones. And now we're seeing, I just came back from the AMMG meeting, which is an age management meeting. And they're talking all about like functional medicine and aesthetics are really, all these worlds are colliding. And so that's really kind of how we've got into it. It really came from like the intimate wellness angle. And so now we work with a lot of the top medical device companies. I speak at their meetings. We get kind of bundled into deals sometimes when somebody buys like an aesthetic laser. It's been really fun. And for me, 10 years ago, I was a lot younger and had less wrinkles and brown spots than I do now. And so now I've very much become the aesthetic patient as well,
Of course,
and just some of these things. And it's just, for me, it's really fun. It's a fun field because it's constantly changing. You're constantly a sponge. There's new technologies coming out. And so for us, we get to sort of reinvent ourselves a lot and reinvent our clients on different angles for marketing and, attracting patients.
Yeah. It's so interesting because you're absolutely right. And I hear this all the time too. The joining and melding of aesthetics, wellness, functional medicine, anti-aging, it's kind of all becoming one thing under quote wellness, but they're still very different too. When you think about aesthetic medicine, I still see it as you can tell the difference between a clinic that starts in aesthetic medicine and then moves into wellness versus a clinic that starts as like an anti-aging wellness clinic and then starts adding aesthetics. They're two very distinct types of businesses. What have you noticed about the differences between coming into aesthetics, starting in wellness and female health? What has surprised you? What's been a challenge? What's been your biggest observation?
Yeah, so I would say if you're taking like a medical clinic, let's say a gynecologist who's now deciding that she wants to do aesthetics, what a lot of times they don't understand is you can't just ask the medical assistant that's been taking blood pressures and weights and saying, oh, go take like an aesthetics class and, start doing these laser treatments. And this is what they do at the beginning. They don't realize that you need somebody that's an expert. You need somebody that is highly trained. Like, putting a laser on someone's face or microneedling their face is still kind of a big deal. And
it is.
You can't expect, and they also can't expect that person that is the medical assistant to be like excited about that, because that might not be their thing, and so that's one thing that I think, and I feel like they're coming along with that, but just realizing like it's exactly what you said. This is a totally new business. This is completely different on how you're going to attract people than what you're doing for medical. It's a lot harder to sell cash services than it is insurance services.
It is.
So I think that's one thing. And then, on the flip side, like aesthetics offices, I feel like for them, they're a little more business savvy. And so bringing in like a GLP-1 weight loss program or adding on peptides or exosomes, and I feel like they have a little bit better business sense on how to succeed with that. Obviously both of them can be successful, but I think you gotta know what you don't know, and you got to get the right people in the seats to be able to be successful.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Now, do you have a marketing background? Is that what you went to school for, or were you, or did you just say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I've got a knack for it. I did it in the clinic and I'm going to be able to do it as a business.
So believe it or not, so the answer is yes, but so my MBA has a focus in marketing. However, if I'm being honest with you, I got my MBA in 2002. The stuff they were teaching you then is not at all what we do now in the real world.
Well, of course.
My undergrad is actually in mechanical engineering.
Really?
So I am
mechanical engineers make great business people, though, because you're very.
I'm a recovering engineer, is what I say.
Good for
I think
you.
it does help me. I love crafting funnels and like understanding how every little teeny tiny thing works. And I am an obsessive perfectionist. So for me, it's not going to have the Lori Werner seal of approval unless I've overturned every stone, I've tested everything, and I make sure that it works perfectly. So I think the engineering mind kind of helps me with that a little bit, but I was not a good engineer because I talk too much and I needed to make friends at the water cooler. And so marketing is
which is not really common for engineers.
No.
That's cool. Did you always want to be an entrepreneur? I mean, were a business owner? Were you always entrepreneurial?
I feel like I have always been entrepreneurial, but I don't think I had the guts to actually do it until I was like 40. And if now my kids, I think, have seen it and they're like, I don't want to work for corporate America. Like, I'm just going to own my own business. I wish I would have figured it out, 10 years earlier, but, and I think their generation is a little bit more like that too, but owning your own business, it's a lot of fun. It's lonely though. I mean, even med spa owners, right? Like it's lonely. It is. Yeah. You're out there figuring it out on your own, and you got to have the right support and, surround yourself, like being part of AmSpa and going to the meetings and, being side by side with other people that are on the same struggle bus as you and they're having the same successes and failures. That's really, really important, I feel like. For sure. I agree. I have to say, when I was looking at your website, I did not, I had read a little bit about your bio. I skipped the, just because I was kind of skipping through to look at some of the questions and what we were going to be talking about. I skipped the women-led part. But as I was looking at your website, I noticed on the About Us part, it was all women as far as who were working there and running it. And I was like, that's interesting. This is a digital marketing and a marketing agency which there's a ton of them, and there always has been a ton of them in medical aesthetics. Most of the ones that have come and they've come and gone, they've been bought, they've been sold, they've gone out of business. They've primarily been male dominated, not always, but primarily. And so I was like, this is interesting that I didn't even see that until I noticed all of the women that were working there. So then I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I looked and said, oh, now it makes sense. So this was a conscious thing that you did though. Like this was not, I mean, obviously you want to get good people, but, and that fits right into aesthetics too, because aesthetics, I mean, by our count, 70% of all the businesses in our industries, from the corporations to the med spas are run by women. The patients are all women. It's all women. So that's really cool. Yeah, and I think obviously men are getting into it a little more too, but it was by design. And again, kind of going back to what I was saying at the beginning, like you need to be the patient to understand how to effectively market to the patients. I agree. And the other thing, it's funny. So I do marketing strategy calls. Myself and Sherry on my team do multiple per day. And the number of times that somebody says, do you know how refreshing it is to have a professional woman on a call instead of a mid-20s bro in a hoodie? Yeah. I laugh and I'm like, yeah, you're right. And when you look at a lot of the strategies, a lot of these companies, you'll see their Facebook and Instagram ads, 30 patients in 30 days or all this, and basically their entire strategy is just running meta ads or Google ads. That's the whole strategy. In my opinion, it's lazy marketing. Anybody you can hire a college kid to turn ads on. It's hard to do, especially with AI and everything now. But when you think about how does a patient go about choosing an aesthetics provider, especially if they're doing it for the first time? So like one of the ladies that works for me, I shouldn't say works for me. She works with me. Nobody works for me. We're all part of the same team.
I get it.
She ended up finally telling me she was getting Botox. And I'm like, Kat, how long have you been thinking about this? Like, what in the heck? And she's like, gosh, Lori, I've been thinking about it for a year. And I asked her, how did you decide you were finally getting this done? And she's like, I thought about it. I did my research. I Googled people. I read their reviews. I went to their Instagram. I was comparing like before and afters. I was sort of seeing like who I felt would give me the best results. And then after all of that, she finally goes and makes an appointment. And on the flip side, if your whole entire strategy is just the marketing agency run by the bro that's just running meta ads and Google ads, my Instagram account right now is full of my friends' kids' prom pictures, high school graduation pictures, and somebody got a new puppy. That's what my feed is.
Yep.
Okay, and maybe here and there, like somebody that I'm following for aesthetics kind of pops into my feed. Am I going to stop everything that I'm doing right then and go, you know what? I just decided today that I'm going to get Botox done. No, I mean, I might discover the person from Instagram. I might start following them. They might build brand awareness, but I'm still going to Google them. I'm still going to read their reviews. I'm still going to look at their website. I have to build trust. So thinking that your whole strategy is let's just run some ads.
Yeah.
It's not really effective. And that works with products. So I think some of these companies, maybe they came from like selling advertising for a car dealership or something. Well, sure, that works well for something like that. But this is a totally different animal. And unless you're in the mindset of that whole research process, I mean, women, we research stuff till we drive our husband crazy before we buy something.
And you're selling an
experience. My face.
You're selling an experience and you're selling something to your face. Like this is not something to take lightly. And I want to get into that because you mentioned before we jumped on, you said there's two components to how you think about marketing is they have to find you and then they have to choose you, right? And then one thing that stuck in my mind this is from a while back, someone told me they had a similar story to what you just said, that they had somebody had a personal recommendation for a physician for Botox, like this person is the best, go to them. And which is really the best referral you can get as a physician.
100%.
And the first thing that person did was search Google, like they didn't just go and do it. It was still, they went into that process. So let's get into that a little bit. The finding and the choosing. I take it the choosing is more, or the finding is that more the answer engine optimization part that you're focusing on?
Yeah, so I would say search engine optimization and answer engine optimization, which now, again, these worlds are sort of colliding.
Yeah.
You got to get Google to recommend you, and now you got to worry about ChatGPT, and you got to get that to recommend you too. Man. But yes, what you just described is absolutely what happens. In fact, even if somebody gets a referral from their own doctor, 92% of people will still Google that office to do their own research because we want to validate we want to make the decision ourselves still too.
Yeah.
So the finding you part, and this, again, I see this all the time. I ask people, what are you doing for marketing? They're like, I got my Instagram going. I got my Facebook going. I'm doing TikTok. And then I Google them and they've got like 3 reviews on Google, and maybe they're all 5 stars, but there's only 3 reviews, or worse, they haven't even claimed their profile. Their website was built in Wix. It has 0 search engine optimization on it at all, or like Squarespace or Weebly or GoDaddy's Builder. Like those sites are not really intended for a business that needs to get found on Google. And understandably, right? When you're starting your business, you're bootstrapping it and you got to get something up, but that really isn't long-term for you to be able to get found. So number one would be making sure that your website is built in WordPress and that it is designed by, or you partner with somebody that knows search engine optimization. So it has keywords, it loads quickly, you're adding fresh content. Then you need to have a Google business profile that is optimized. On the back end, if you're a woman-owned business, you've got woman-owned, you've got your social profiles, you're posting on Google, you've got lots of photos, all of that stuff. It's 30% of what Google cares about is the Google profile. It's arguably even more important than your website. So there's that. Getting reviews. So part of their algorithm is, and again, this is going to be whether we're talking ChatGPT or we're talking Google. If somebody searches for best medical spa near me, part of being, quote, best is who's been voted the best, who has the most reviews. So if your competitors have 250 reviews and you have 10, you've got some work to do. So making sure that you've got a lot of reviews, and then also just putting out content. So like one of the things that we do to build authoritative content is doing press releases. So if you bring in, you just brought a new laser hair removal device, like you want a press release announcing that you now offer laser hair removal, for example, or tattoo removal or whatever equipment you bring. And so that press release gets sent out to the media. That media might be your local ABC TV station or the Associated Press or your radio station, and they host this article about you. And it links back to your website. So Google and ChatGPT love that because it's basically a whole bunch of other places on the internet that are talking about you and this specific service. So, and then with ChatGPT specifically, they really like YouTube videos. YouTube, in my opinion, is the most important social media platform because also it's owned by Google. So having YouTube content is important. Even if people aren't watching your videos, YouTube and Google are married. So
that's why we're showing this on YouTube right now.
Absolutely. Yes. You want more people to find out about AmSpa. So all of that sort of stuff. And I have a whole webinar. In fact, I can give it to you, Alex, and you can put it in the show notes, a link to entire answer engine optimization webinar. But if you're doing social and you're not doing these things, first, you're doing marketing step 2, 3, and 4 without doing marketing step 1, 2, and 3. So website, Google business, reviews, and then building links with things like
and the interesting you mentioned the press release side of it, because I mean, I'm old enough to remember when that's the original social media, right? That was the original marketing, was a press release. And it kind of, it's not that it died down, but it lost some of its luster. Are you seeing that press releases and the links that they provide are becoming more important because of ChatGPT?
Yeah, because imagine sort of your article is on your ABC TV station, your local Beverly Hills ABC TV station's website. Now, you're not physically interviewed on the news, but your article is on there.
Posted,
That domain is a very high authority domain in the eyes of Google and ChatGPT. So if somebody's searching for, hey, I want the best tattoo removal place in Beverly Hills, and your website says that you offer it, and a whole bunch of media outlets say that you offer it, they're going to be more likely to recommend you. And we have honestly seen this for Medical Marketing Whiz. So I'll tell you a really quick, funny story. So I had somebody book a call with me, and it was a medical conference, a functional medicine conference that needed help marketing their conference. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. Why did she book a call? Like, how did she know that I would do that? There's nothing on my website that says that I do that.
Right.
And so I did the call with her. And then afterwards I went, because she told me, I said, how'd you hear about us? She goes, ChatGPT. I was like, no way. So I went to ChatGPT and I asked it, hey, so-and-so just booked a call with me about this. How did you recommend Medical Marketing Whiz? And ChatGPT told me it was from the press releases. So even for ourselves.
So it's telling you the reason. That freaks me out somehow.
It freaks you out. Yes. But it's one of those things, like I would highly recommend just at least dabbling in this, because what you don't want to do is, the Ideal Images of the world and the laser and these big chains, they're doing it. And if
Right.
you wait, another year, the amount of content that they're going to have out there, it will dwarf like the smaller medical spa that's just trying to compete. So
Yeah.
I think it's important. I'm glad we were able to kind of touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. And with YouTube, because I know that's I've thought that for a while. YouTube and Google are, married, right? So it's like it makes sense. Um, but it's interesting that you said you don't really need to be even, having a YouTube following. It just the fact of posting. Why is that? Because I would think building the YouTube following, having larger audiences, that's the key. But it's just having the stuff on YouTube, having videos on YouTube in and of itself is helpful.
Yeah. So obviously the goal, right? You want to have a following, but at the beginning, I think why people don't keep doing it is because they're like, nobody's watching my
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with social media. Like nobody's liking my stuff. Okay, but Google is still indexing everything that you're posting. You need to be doing it. So the other thing that I like about YouTube, and we could probably have a whole nother conversation about this, is all of your, like if you're doing webinars or longer form videos and you have them on YouTube and you use them in email, you actually have 3 excuses to email somebody: 2 times to invite them to watch the video and 1 time to send them the replay. It isn't even always about them watching your actual video. It's about, oh, wow, here she comes. She's talking about this thing with aesthetics. And then next month she's got this thing. And the next month she's got this thing. And pretty soon they're like, holy cow, this person actually is an expert in a whole bunch of different things. So it also kind of has a, I guess, subliminal side effect of it gives you an excuse to get in contact with people. And then you can also slice up those videos. You can use something like munch.com and it'll chop your videos up and it'll add captions. And now you've got 20 social media videos to use.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I was going to ask you, had in my little list of questions, what's your favorite like social media or software hack that you like to use? Like Munch chops things up into videos. What's another one that you like that's efficient that helps you or helps your clients get things done like that?
So I hate to give ourselves our own plug, but I kind of have
I'll do it. I like it.
Comes to mind. But so for social media, we have a scheduler called the Dr. Social Whiz platform.
Yeah.
And this platform, and we didn't develop the software. We use software and then we create content in it for our clients to use, but it has AI. So you can type in, hey, I just bought a RF microneedling device and I want to launch it. What should I say in my post? And it'll write the whole post. It'll write the hashtags. It integrates with Canva. It'll make your photos. It does stories, reels. It pre-schedules. It's your first comment on Instagram and Facebook. So you automatically get engagement on your posts. So for us, that's the one we probably use the most. Yeah. The other one that I'm kind of dabbling in right now that I'm excited about, but I'm not totally ready to launch yet. It's called Synthesia. And you can actually create an avatar of yourself. We've all sort of seen these. So I'm on my second version of my avatar of myself. And this, you can actually have it do your videos and it's pretty slick and it's not expensive. I need to record the video a couple times. It's kind of one of those things like, when you get your iPhone and you have to move your head around and then you got to, it kind of is that. And then you also have to read like Mary Had a Little Ham and some of these things to get your voice going. But I think that's going to be a really cool tool. Now, I personally feel like with AI, you don't want to pretend it's you. Like, I think you would need to say like, hey, this is the AI version of Lori. Yeah. That way people aren't like, come on.
Yeah, I know. Cause I've read that within a year, it will be advanced enough where you will not be able to tell if it's AI or the actual person.
I can tell right now. So that's why I feel like I need to be honest with people if I'm putting a video out, like this is Lori's AI, but I think that it could be really, really helpful because, like some of our clients, they're really shy at being on video. Like they're amazing providers, but if you tell them they have to take a picture or let alone a video, like they're just.
It's hard for sure.
Yeah. So that would, I guess, be my second one.
That's awesome. No, I love that. That's cool. I don't do enough with AI. I've got to do more because it really is cool. Um, so we're bumping up on time here. What I'm curious, having well, actually, let me ask this. When did you start kind of officially and formally getting into the aesthetic side from the women's wellness
I would say about 8 years ago. So it was
8 years
probably
ago?
two
Okay.
years in. So we've been a partner of Candela's for
Oh,
seven
yeah.
and a half years. So we're one of their marketing vendors. We were on Saiton's Success Builder program.
Yeah,
Obviously, we've done some stuff with Alma and
sure.
Cynosure / Lutronic now. So, we try to be friendly with all of the
Yeah.
device companies, but all of it honestly came from those that had a vaginal device. Like that's kind of how we originally got introduced to them.
Yeah. And are those
Yeah,
still like a really hot commodity? Because I like they had their moment in aesthetics and you don't really hear about them anymore.
it died down a bit when the FDA had like some slap on the hands for their marketing tech.
Yeah.
Like they
But
were
it didn't stop the
using the word
technology.
vaginal
Yeah.
rejuvenation. There's more coming out. I mean, I go to the International Society for Cosmetic Gynecology meeting every year. A lot of the hormone
Yeah.
substances, those ones, they're still, they're still
I
still
feel
out
like that's
there.
I feel
So
like that's gonna come roaring back.
yeah.
But my question that I was gonna ask was, um, because we have, there's new businesses, new med spas popping up every day. It's such a fast growing dynamic industry. What is, in your time as a marketing professional and you own a company, you meet a lot of folks, you do a lot of marketing consults. What is there a common theme among the aesthetic professionals that things that you wish they knew or wish they did earlier than maybe they do? Kind of like that one takeaway that you could say, all right, like if I could teach you one thing before you launched your business, it would be this.
So I think it's like you gotta have a budget for this stuff. So don't go buy $500,000 worth of equipment
Mm-hmm.
and have no marketing plan
Mm-hmm.
and no money left to do any kind of marketing, because at the beginning, marketing kind of stings. It hurts because you're giving somebody money and you're hoping that you're going to get clients out of it. It's just like
Right.
if my financial advisor wants me to give them some money to invest in a Roth IRA, it kind of stings giving them that money, but it sure does look good, 30 years later when I got all this tax-free growth. So it's sort of the same thing, but what happens a lot of times is, and obviously, we love the medical aesthetics manufacturers and all of that. But a lot of the people, I feel like they get so excited buying all these devices and they don't actually have a plan for how to get people. And then it becomes very, very stressful for them. And then I would also say just start with what we talked about at the beginning. You've got to get found first. So yes, open your social media platforms, do some things in that, but you have to have a strategy for getting found on Google, and you have to have a strategy for building your email list, because your social media could get shut down tomorrow. I would rather take an office that has 2,000 emails than someone that has 2,000 Instagram followers, because it's so much easier to convert that email list than it is to convert a social media follower. So just have a strategy for building your email list, and just surround yourself with other business owners, like, the folks at AmSpa. I think that's amazingly important and critical.
So even now in 2025, email is still more important than social accounts, you think, as far as
For
growing
conversion,
the conversion?
right? Because, and believe it or not, doctors and medical aesthetics have the #2 open rate of any email that goes out. The only thing that beats them is religious organizations. So people will think, oh, email marketing. We're not talking about Pottery Barn that emails me 40% off furniture sales every single weekend. If you make it educational and helpful, this is the thing that can convert. You're inviting them to your events. You're inviting them to your virtual events. You're letting them know about, a new service that you have coming out. Yes, you need to do social, but the email list, you own that too. So if you get in trouble with Zuckerberg and he shuts down your Instagram account because you violated some policy, if you have those people's contact information, you're fine. You won't miss a beat. But on the flip side, I've seen that happen where it's like, oh shoot, I haven't even collected it. I'm not. Fortunately, now with like the CRMs and the EMR systems, like people seem to be a little better about collecting that, but that's really, really important for conversion.
Gotcha.
Yep.
What about texting? Are you still big into
Texting? Yes, texting.
Yeah. Texting's huge.
Yeah, texting, you just have to be, there's more compliance rules around it, right? Like you can't just text blast out, 10,000 people at once. So using texting in a smart way, inviting people to your events, using it for RSVP reminders, those sorts of things work really well.
Yeah, I am getting so many dang texts lately. It's been crazy. All of a sudden, it's like text from everybody, from everything, even people I don't know. So Lori, this was awesome. I really appreciate it. Where can folks find you if they want to learn more about you, the Medical Marketing Whiz?
I just love how you say that. It's so fun.
Well, because it's so catchy, and you're a whiz.
We are the whizzes at Medical Marketing.
If you're a Medical Marketing Whiz, there's nothing else to say.
That's right. So it's Medical Marketing Whiz, but I got to be clear. WIZ is peeing. That's not us. We are the whizzes, like the wizards. So it's WHIZ. So
do people have a problem with that?
medicalmarketingwiz.com.
Is that an
I
issue
bought both domains just in case somebody misspells it, but whizzing is like not what we are. We are the wizards, which is Medical Marketing Whiz.
Okay, good point.
Yeah, so definitely check us out online. We have a lot of resources. I have a book on Amazon.com. I am happy any AmSpa member, we will ship you a free copy of this book, including paying the shipping costs. So you can get access to that on our website. So there's a lot of free resources, and I'm just excited for this partnership. It's been great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for doing that. That's awesome. The only thing anyone's going to remember now is that whiz is how it's spelled and how it's not spelled, but that's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. We'll have to have you back. Obviously with things changing so fast with AI, and this is going to be a moving target, but we can't wait to see you again.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Refresh your body, mind, and career journey at the Women in Aesthetics Leadership Conference being held October 3rd through the 5th at California's beautiful Terranea Resort. Walk is more than just another convention. It's an immersive retreat that combines education and networking with rejuvenation. For women aesthetic professionals who dedicate their time to the health and happiness of others, this is the opportunity to get away and focus on your own wellness. Reconnect to your passions and return with bold new inspiration for your business. Walk celebrates the med spa industry's opportunities for female empowerment and entrepreneurship, including the ceremony for the 2025 Distinguished Women Awards. Find out more and register at experiencewalk.com. That's experiencewalc.com. And as a Medical Spa Insider listener, you can receive 10% off your registration if you use the promo code WALC10. That's WALC10.
Promo code valid for inclusive registration until September 11, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or standard registration until October 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Promo code only applies to the primary registrant and cannot be combined with any additional offers. Thank you to producers Madeline Muller, marketing content coordinator who organizes, schedules, and handles our guests, provides topics, talking points, and guest bios to our hosts. And myself, Jody Guzman, technology operations assistant manager. I handle the audio and video editing, voiceovers, and tech. Kate Harper, senior digital marketing coordinator who makes all of our graphics and manages the podcast platform. Esme Uriostegui, senior social media coordinator who makes and posts all of the clips of the podcast to our social feeds. Our music is by Ghost Score. Thank you for listening to or watching the Medical Spa Insider podcast. Please follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future episodes. For more information about the American Med Spa Association, please check our show notes or in the description below.